Come on.
That'll wake you up.
Let's go. Live from a basket of Class B Lyft shares.
Ooh.
I found it at an antique shop in rural Vermont. Not by a Cracker Barrel. There are no Cracker Barrels in Vermont, so just an antique shop. Yeah. It's a Business Pants Friday show here at August 29th Studios, featuring analyst Hull, Matt Moscardi. I think it's great that those Class B Lyft shares are already showing up in antique shops. I think that's cute.
I'm just waiting for one to show up like on eBay.
Ooh.
Or Etsy, and it'll be like looking for $1,100 for this vintage Class B share.
On today's weekly wrap-up, double anti-rainbow Cracker Barrel. Do you see what I kind of did there? Double?
Yeah, it's two, yeah.
The restaurant chain Black Lobster and Matt's favorite cheaters.
Ah, boo. I don't want my favorite cheaters.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. You know, sometimes I look at some of our peers. I was going to call them rivals, but I don't think we'd get enough business to call anyone a rival.
We would have to.
I look at like ESG consulting companies, corporate governance consulting firms. I look at ESG data providers, like the MSCIs and smaller boutiques.
Yeah.
None of them. I mean, some of them offer like some bloggy stuff. Like they post like little like statements and little news articles. None of them provide you anything, any analytics, any data, nothing for free. Nothing. Yeah, none of them do. True. We do. FreeFloatAnalytics.com does. I should say.
Not only does FreeFloat Analytics have a giant database that is free and is in the middle of an update. So if you're wondering, when's the next update? It's coming in the next couple of days. Not only do they not offer you anything for free, but we also offer a zine that has
a weekly zine.
A weekly zine that has information and analytics underneath a pile of snark. We offer we're doing 2 shows on Business Pants. We're doing 1 show on Proxy Countdown.
And Mike and
Shareholder Primacy. Mike and Ann doing
that's the thing.
There's so much content and information that is actually useful.
Here's where I have to chuckle.
It's amazing.
Is that I follow a lot of people on. The only social media I use is LinkedIn, although it sort of drives me crazy, and I'd kind of be happy not to do LinkedIn anymore. But that's a whole other story. Occasionally, people post these kind of like pithy little news items about corporate governance matters. People, we are the only ESG corporate governance news service in the world. We cover dozens of these stories on every show. We have so much information here. If you're posting it on LinkedIn, we've already talked about it on the podcast 3 weeks before. Not to mention that we've gone into great depths of analysis. We don't just post like something like quirky and witty and hope and kind of ask for your likes and dislikes or whatever.
I have no wit.
We put out whole shows on this stuff, so I don't know. So if you care about this stuff, tell your friends. This is the only
get some friends
news
first.
Company.
If you're listening to the show, you probably should get some friends first and then tell them to listen to this show. All right, let's go. Story of the week.
I'm sick of talking. Oh, we have to do a show now?
Yeah, that's not it. We have to do the actual show.
Here we go. Story of the week. I don't want to do this anymore. Thank God it's over.
Can we just skip it?
I guess we could. I'll try to go super quickly.
Gloss. Yeah.
I'm calling this the Cracker Barrel BS. So everyone knows about this story. We don't have to spend too much time. In a nutshell, the female CEO, and I should mention that because I think that's kind of sort of a part of this story.
And combine it with female-powered board. It's one of this was in the zine.
There basically are none of those.
It's like 120 female-powered boards in the United States. This is one of them.
Yeah, Julie Messino is the CEO. Okay, so she changes the corporate logo, which wasn't even the original logo. They get rid of the barrel. They get rid of some old white man. And everyone goes... I shouldn't say everyone goes crazy. A very small...
7 guys.
7 white dudes went crazy, including some of the classics. Like, I think the Robbie Starbuck types, right?
Yeah, Robbie Starbuck.
And then, of course, Fox News picks up on this because hate is the new... This is what we sell now in America. We sell hate. And you know what? It kind of works.
It exports. Yeah.
It
There's no
works on
tariff for
social
it.
media. It works on the news. So the CEO and the board, the board should be included in this. They decided to, after apologizing and saying we're sorry that the way we did this, but we're going to keep the logo. After Donald Trump, the president, weighed in, they then said, "Never mind, we're going to keep the old logo." Okay, that's the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was so within a week. All of that happened in 1 week.
All within a week. So, and don't pretend anyone actually cares. Nobody cares. And there's a great article in Fortune today or yesterday says Cracker Barrel's inconvenient fact: all the customers who loved its old logo had stopped going to the restaurant.
Correct. Didn't we say that?
Yeah. Matt said it like maybe
I literally
10 days ago that
about it.
The average age of their customer is like 642, I think.
It's like only Yoda goes there anymore.
Yeah. And so I don't know what we're protecting. What's that? So
what are we doing?
Why is the CEO protecting this logo?
Because, like, what choice does anyone have anymore except to capitulate? Like, everyone just bends the knee.
It's not true. You don't have that. You have choices.
I don't know why. Honestly, I might have stepped in a Cracker Barrel if they had said, you know what, we're keeping the logo. Go F yourself. I might have actually driven to a Cracker Barrel and just gotten one order of meatloaf and said, I will never eat here again because the food is horrible. That's why people don't eat here.
So here are a few other things happening at the same time. And of course, Fox, the one that's reporting this the most is Fox News and Fox Business.
There's nothing else to report on.
Cracker Barrel has already taken down its Pride page. Right?
Yeah, I heard that.
And including some of these other groups, they link to these business resource groups.
Look, the good news is gays don't eat meatloaf anyway.
So they got rid of, not that they're no longer pointing to all these groups that they used to support. One was Be Bold, which develops black leaders. One was OLA, which promotes Hispanic and Latino culture. The LGBTQ plus Alliance, of course, is gone. The Neuroverse Collective, which focused on advocacy around neurodiversity. Even a veterans group they took down. They took it in all down. A women's group, all down.
Wow, they took down the veterans.
Yeah. So
hey, vets, did you know you're diverse?
And all that information is available on the Wayback Machine. I don't know if anyone ever uses the Wayback Machine, but when corporations take down information on their website, it's the first place I go is the Wayback Machine. You can look at the site before they took it down.
Mostly, I used to look at pictures of directors from the past.
Here's another headline. Despite claims it's too woke, Cracker Barrel actually has a fraught LGBTQ plus history. So their founder, Dan Evins, one of the things he's famous for, unfortunately,
sexual harassment,
is that there was a policy that if your sexual preferences fail to demonstrate normal heterosexual values, that's according to their quote, you were to be fired. That was a written directive, and the founder and former CEO and former chair, Dan Evins, his explanation for this was that the edict was that gay people made customers in rural areas uncomfortable. So they actually, there as many as 16 employees who were openly gay or suspected gay. I don't know what that means. What does that mean to suspect someone's gay? You're either gay or you're... Anyway, they were fired. The shareholders actually stepped in. I was spending all morning looking at very old filings from the SEC that go back to 2000 on their database. In 2002, 58% of shareholders actually supported a shareholder proposal to explicitly forbid anti-discrimination at this company, which is crazy to think that we were way more progressive and liberal in 2002. At the same time, the board, I couldn't find any proof of this in filings, but shareholders led to the board removing Dan Evins as the CEO, right?
Sure.
So all this was happening. There are also some other things happening. In 2004, the Justice Department sued the chain for discriminating against black customers.
Whoa. We're back to that.
Yeah, and so anti-gay, anti-black. So this, I guess, and I'm not saying this is not even tongue-in-cheek when I say this. I guess this is what MAGA, Donald Trump Jr., Robbie Stolberg are referring to with heritage. They're referring to this supposition that people in the South like to hate on gays and hate black people, which I personally don't believe. I don't think America is filled with hate. I think that is just a divisive thing that we sell now that seems to work. But I actually don't think that most people who go to Cracker Barrel believe in this shit. But we're being told they do.
I want to take it further back.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my biggest problem is you can't even get. So a Cracker Barrel is a barrel of effectively saltines.
Yeah, I like saltines. Whenever I throw up or I have diarrhea, I eat saltines.
Yeah, I think that's the only use case.
Which to our listeners, I want to be clear, it doesn't happen often. Okay,
it's a version of like a soda cracker, right? Yeah. Like and they used to be stored in barrels, and people would sit around and they'd hang out, and they'd be. I guess that was the thing. I don't think we've gone back far enough in our heritage. I think they should only serve crackers from Cracker Barrels now. I mean, where do we cut it off? Where do we say, well, that's where our heritage starts and this is where it ends? Like you can't change this. If you don't want to change the past, even though the logo's already changed and now we're going back to the second logo of the company, right? Like we're not going back to the first, we're going back to the second. You are effectively saying there was a period from like 1969 until 2024, 25, that's the period where the logo matters most. But there were saltine crackers in the stores in 1969. So should we need to go back to them. It all should be the same. You should not be allowed in without overalls on. What is the line? It's bananas to me that this is even a conversation.
I really am sick of it.
I'm tired of this conversation.
I'm going to add one more thing before we move on. This delightful little tidbit of misinformation. So this guy in the I'm sure some of our listeners have never even seen this guy because we don't have
Dan Evins.
No, so the Uncle Herschel.
Oh, the guy in the logo. Because I looked at a picture of Dan Evins and I thought, of course, that's what he looks like.
I'll get to. I want to say one more thing about Dan Evins too. But the thing I love about Uncle Herschel, who I guess he worked for the company. He was his uncle. Of course, it's involved with nepo babyism, but he was a real person. Herschel McCartney. He was the younger brother of Cracker Barrel founder Dan Evins's mother. I don't know what that means.
It's his cousin, right?
They claim he was a goodwill ambassador of the brand. Here's the funny part.
Brother.
It's the person in the sign that everyone thinks is that guy, Uncle Herschel. It's not actually that guy.
It's not him. I know it's not him. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah. So one more thing about Dan Evins, which is fun, is that prior to founding the company, he worked for Consolidated Oil, a company founded by his grandfather. So that, this is the real American heritage that we love to talk about.
It is American. Oil and crackers.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Okay, that's it. Anything to add about Cracker Barrel? Because I hope this is it. I hope we're done with Cracker Barrel.
There's nothing to add here. I mean, the things to add here are actually bigger picture things, which some of which I'll come back to. But
brazen
ultimately, we have dropped all pretense. We are just saying that we want white old men to have as prominent a place, even in a store where no one goes. It's lost 16% of its business over the last 3 years, and all its actual customers are dying off. No one cares about Cracker Barrel. We want white men to be as prominent as possible in as many places as possible. And if you dare lay a finger on an old white guy and say, oh, well, maybe it's time to give somebody younger who doesn't look like an old white guy a chance, we are going to fuck you over as much as possible. That's the bigger pretext.
What pains me too is that you mentioned this before. This does kind of it's a blight on one of my favorite talking points. Was that would this happen at a female-led board? It's a female-led board with a female CEO.
But let's be clear about the female-led board here. And this is what I anticipate being some of this being in the zine this week. Like female-led companies, female-led boards do not exist except in like two cases. The primary one is as cleanup. This is your classic company is failing. No one is going to it.
Yes, she came in 2023 to turn this company around.
To turn this company around.
Yes.
Part of turning the company around is appealing to new customers who you might want to sell shit to.
Which is what she said. Which is what she said when her initial apology. Yes.
Her whole job was to create growth in this company, not to preserve your heritage, to sell meatloaf, for Christ's sake. Well, her job is to make it interesting to someone not the original customer who's not going.
And to be fair, 28%, 37% of the company is held by institutional owners, at least the top 3 institutional owners. I'm sure there's a lot beneath that. The other 9% is held by a very loud MAGA dude who also owns Steak and Shake named Sardar Biglari. So she's dealing with some like very strange activist investor MAGA investor attention here. So
that at this point is par for the course for the failing companies. Failing companies attract weird, outlandish, activisty.
Yeah, but usually they're
investors.
not so overtly political. This guy is now doing the rounds with his MAGA hat on,
they
screaming
used to not
victory.
Be. You've got like every tech bro in the universe now is overtly political.
And I said I was going to stop talking about it, but I do want to add one thing. What happened to this notion of we were angry at woke companies for not looking at not performing their fiduciary duties, right? We basically want to send ISS and Glass Lewis and BlackRock to jail for looking at ESG things. Since when should a company be preserving its heritage over looking at the bottom line and trying to get customers in and trying to make a profit? What the hell is happening?
That's the trade.
You're refuting all of the bullshit. This is misogyny and racism. That's all it is. And homophobia. I'm sorry.
Don't forget that. Notwithstanding, that sums it up.
How dare
the trade
you?
That's happening.
The company's struggling. How dare you?
Here is the trade. The trade is you are trading growth, turning the company around, capitalism, making money for your perceived victimhood as a cultural heritage. In no other facet of America do we make the trade that says your perceived victimhood should actually take a stance over making the money. In fact, the argument against being woke was that you aren't doing it on merit. You're losing growth. You're giving something up to do ESG or environmental things or be woke. And the fact is, Cracker Barrel proves the opposite. Your stupid cultural heritage is holding the company back. Yeah. Why do you think companies went to this in the first place? Do you think they do it for moral reasons? They want to take a political position?
More money.
They want to attract customers.
More money.
They will say whatever they fucking can to get every one of us to go in and buy shit.
I went to the website and I ordered 4 meatloafs for dinner and 4 Diet Cokes with tax and tip. That's $100. So there's... Yeah. I'm sorry, but your customers, your heritage customers, they can't afford a gross-looking meatloaf dinner for $100 for a family of 4.
All right, let's move on. I never want to talk about this company again.
I'm done. Shame on you, Cracker Barrel, though. You suck. I mean, you really suck. Number 2 story of the week. Unfortunately, it's kind of more of the same. The anti-DEI purge continues. So I have 3 stories under the same umbrella. The Fed emphasizes its commitment to independence as Lisa Cook pledges to sue over Trump's illegal firing. So Trump trying to fire black woman Lisa Cook from the Fed. And then the White House, they also fire CDC director, another woman, Susan Monarez, who says, because she said that I suppose that RFK Jr. is weaponizing public health. Now, the person they've replaced her with is this stooge named Jim O'Neill. He's referred to as RFK Jr.'s deputy. He is, so unlike Monarez, unlike Susan, he's a former investment executive who does not have any medical or scientific background. He is being chosen to be the new CDC director. He served as a speechwriter for the health department during the George W. Bush administration and went on to work for the tech investor and conservative mega donor Peter Thiel. So this is the guy they're replacing the woman with at CDC. Crazy. I mean, talk about an
CDC,
anti-DEI
which
purge,
stands
yeah.
for Centers for Disease Control. It's the place
Unbelievable.
where it's basically, you know how you want a wall to keep the Mexicans out, MAGA? Well, CDC is the wall to keep viruses out. And you basically put in charge of that wall a guy who doesn't do science and doesn't know how to build walls. Like, it's great. It's great.
And then the final one, Trump fires member of board that approves railroad mergers. His name is Robert Primus. He received an email from the White House a couple days ago, maybe yesterday, terminating his position. He like Lisa Cook, he says he's going to stay. I think they're going to sue Trump. But the reason why I point him out is another one of the anti-DEI purge, Robert Primus, a black man. And then just the other day, a couple days ago when I'm doing the Robert Primus story, I see this headline that Trump is rage tweeting someone, a governor, at 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh, God, who's the governor? I look it up. Of course, it's black man Wes Moore from Maryland. This is just the pattern. This is just who they attack.
Not to mention that Trump actually put Robert Primus in that position in 2020. It was Trump and Congress, Trump's Congress, who approved him in that position, and now terminated him with no cause. They just said he wasn't pro-America enough.
With all the data we've given you about boards, we just had several news agencies cover some of our analysis about the bro IPO, the bro PO summer.
Yeah.
This is no longer anecdotal. This is what's happening across corporate America and the private sector, the government. The MAGA world is systematically getting rid of women and people of color, and you should know this, and you should fight back, and you should be angry about it.
I would say this because a lot of people say that the country's government is run really
deals.
inefficiently.
Right, Columbia? No more deals.
Well, I mean, like, if you talk to a lot of people, if you watch a lot of like conservative commentary or whatever, and a lot of it by regular people on social media, they'll say things like the government is really inefficiently run. And the reason why Donald Trump is so appealing is because he's a businessman. He knows how to get stuff done. He knows how to make deals, all that kind of stuff. If you believe that, then what you should spend your time doing is figuring out what happens in the business democracy, the corporate democracy. There is a democracy there where boards are elected, people are fiduciaries, they have roles and jobs and all sorts of stuff. And if you pay attention to that, then you know how they're going to lead over here. And it turns out they're not that efficient. In fact, all they do is hire their friends. They're incredibly expedient. They just move around whatever the political winds are. They don't really care. They chase the highest dollar, and they do it for the shortest possible term. When you make a decision like the CDC director and you put a business person in charge of that, what you end up with is horrible CDC. CDC is a place for science. Not everything is a business. Because if it was, it would run horribly. The alternative democracy is a joke. 26% of American companies are totalitarian. There is no democracy. They are run by a dictator. Those companies do not outperform the democratic companies, but investors put up with it because, that's it. I don't know. That's what we're doing. It's bananas to me that we're even talking about this. Everything's the worst.
That was the second story, the anti-DEI purge continuing.
The second story.
And finally, the third, I did you a favor and I got rid of my fourth story. The third and final story is I'm calling the oligarchy rules, to your point, because I don't want anyone to get mistaken by any of this. We talked about Bernie Sanders also favoring the move for the U.S. government to get shares in Intel. But Bernie Sanders wants that for a very different reason than Donald Trump wants it. Bernie Sanders is not attached to the oligarchy. He's actually fighting the oligarchy. He says this as much every time he speaks. His idea of government control is to give back some of the profits to the people. This is not why the U.S. government now, Donald Trump, is getting involved. And what I'm speaking of is that the U.S. government is making a $9 billion investment in Intel, nearly 10% stake, a stake that does not have voting rights. another story that we missed this same week, or maybe this happened last week, but it's the same company at Intel, is that SoftBank Group, led by oligarch Masayoshi Son, the great billionaire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He also bought $2 billion of Intel, right? This is really what Trump buying a portion of Intel is really about the oligarchy. It's not about government control. It's about his people having control of the things that he wants to have control of. But I don't know what happens if a Democrat wins the next election, but maybe he's hoping that'll never happen again. But anyway, the third story of the week is just everything around the government taking a stake in Intel.
So I read that the way in the 8K, it says the way that the government stake will work is the government will have voting rights, but is only allowed to vote. Here it is.
Yeah,
must vote any shares of common stock held by it in favor of nominees of and any proposals recommended by the company's board of directors, and against any other nomination or proposal not recommended by the board of directors.
Right.
Meaning the government will take a stake. Its governance rights are...
This is pro-CEO, pro-oligarchy.
Has to vote with...
management.
Company. Has to vote with management.
So this is not... So Bernie Sanders likes this for a very different reason. I want everyone to be clear about this.
They are taking a 9% stake, meaning now 91% of the vote is effectively all you get as investors, because 9% is just management voting for itself, right?
And so SoftBank again is getting $2 billion, which is about
that's like a 3% stake or something.
So within a week, 12%, basically 13% of Intel has gone over to the billionaire class in the last week. It's just like
they will vote entirely with management.
Crazy.
There will be and this is the management team.
I do say crazy a
that
lot.
Trump said needed to be fired. He wanted him fired.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Just a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So the guy he wanted fired, he has no right to fire. In fact, he can only agree with.
Yeah.
What is the deal that the U.S. government got?
What the filings don't make clear is how the board was involved with this. I'm kind of surprised that something of this magnitude does not get presented to the shareholders too. Like it's very unusual. Did they just strong arm Intel? Like how did this happen so quickly? How was the board involved? Why is this not up for vote? It's very confusing. But it's mostly confusing because this never happens. So there you go.
Not only does it never happen, the stock has dropped nearly 4% in the last 5 days.
Well, why does the Trump administration and the oligarchy having 9.9% control of Intel, why should that help Intel? I don't understand how that helps Intel.
I mean,
and again, what about the so-called fiduciary duties of the investors and the board over at Intel?
Well, I can't get over, like, just from the government side, right? Like, you took a 10% stake in the company because you were making a trade. The trade you were making was we were going to give you $9 billion that we had already allocated to you, but we were going to withdraw and wheel and deal and whatever. It's just fun to make deals and we'll just do it. But let's say they gave $9 billion of U.S. taxpayer money and they handed it to Intel and they said, what we want in return is a equity stake in the company, but our equity stake will have absolutely no equity rights. What is the trade you just made? Everybody else can vote on Intel, but you can't. Everybody else is entitled to the same equity rights. You basically said, we are willing to cede all control to the company to make this deal. I thought it was like a bad deal for Intel and capitalism. This is a fabulous deal. They get $9 billion. They don't have, and they have, they gave $9 billion. They got $9 billion and 10% of the vote. That's what they got.
Yeah.
A
definite yes for anything.
A definite yes on everything. You can't remove lip
Which is
Bhutan if you're Donald Trump
poison
anymore.
pill ever because it comes with cash.
what is the trade? What was the deal for the U.S. government?
Trump doesn't get mad at you.
Screwed?
I guess the trade is that Trump doesn't get mad at you when Intel gets rid of the barrel from their logo.
$9 billion and 10% of the vote. This is like watching like a Cleveland draft party for the NFL, where somehow they end up trading all their first round picks and they get a kicker in return.
That probably actually does happen at Cleveland. So,
I know it does.
All right, let's
I don't get it.
Wrap us up here and vote, because I got.
Oh my
I'm
God,
sick of all this.
I hate all these. The good
Cracker
news is,
Barrel,
I'm on all the same stories.
anti-DEI purge, and Intel.
I'm not voting for Cracker Barrel story of the week because as much as it was talked about, I never want to talk about it again.
It's terrible.
I'm not going to talk about the stupid Intel trade because I don't want to.
Let's not forget Masayoshi's son too. He was involved.
Yeah, but I need to say that the anti-DEI purge is the story of the week, because this is now beyond anecdote. It's beyond guesswork.
We have data for this.
We now have data that shows we are disproportionately, purposefully targeting men and women of color wherever they are.
Hate sells.
If we can make up a reason,
it's a race
like
war,
mortgage fraud,
it's a war against women, a war against gay people.
They didn't even bother making up a reason for Robert Primus. They didn't even bother. They just said you're fired.
This makes all the wheelings and dealings with the universities that we talked about in past shows. We talked about Columbia, we talked about Brown, all the more appalling and upsetting to me. Like, how are you making deals with this administration?
How do any one of you bend the knee? All right, let's move on. Let's go. We'll go goodliest. The shortest goodliest I think we've ever done in our production notes.
Well, I'm going to start because I'm going to prove that you can do things. Korea passes boardroom reform curbing chaebol power. So what a chaebol is essentially is an oligarchy in control of your corporations, where billionaires and their families control corporations for generations and do whatever the F they want. And Korea is saying, well, maybe not the greatest idea. So I know everyone jokes at me when I say, hey, why don't we regulate some stuff? Why don't we change some rules here in America? And people are like, it'll never happen. But it can happen. It does happen.
Do you hear that, investors? We had to go to Korea to get a goodliest of the week this week. We had to go all the way to Korea.
Okay.
I have two options.
Go.
Neither one I feel like is great. The other one I
like that
feel
both of yours involve colors.
Yes. First is this headline: Red Lobster is betting on black diners with its brand comeback.
Okay, now who's going to get upset about that? Should we get upset about that? So if I'm white, I don't feel comfortable going in there anymore, right? They're taking away my heritage.
Well, the great news is, like Cracker Barrel, I never went to Red Lobster either. But at least
I'm from Maine, so you'd get punched if you went to Red Lobster.
At least I like lobster. Yeah. At least at a bare minimum, I like the lobster. I just like that this is out strategic. This is thinking like, you know what, we are going.
Black people can be customers too. Is that what we're learning?
It turns out they buy stuff.
And when your company is struggling, you can reach out for other demographics to get them to buy stuff. That's a part of American capitalism still.
I guess it's still somewhere in there. I didn't read those bylaws, but it's somewhere. But
I didn't know black people like to eat. I didn't realize
this is exactly what Cracker Barrel was trying to do. Yeah, they were literally trying to do the exact same thing, which is no one's coming to our store. Let's get rid of some of the vestige of the really old stuff to attract new young customers so that we're cool again.
Yeah, because what you're saying basically,
we make money.
If you're gay, if you're a Yankee, if you're black, if you're Jewish, like Cracker Barrel scares you a bit. Like, no offense, Cracker Barrel, but and what we've learned this week is that it's supposed to scare you a bit. Like, we're trying to scare you a bit.
We figured out that they like scaring us.
So I'm actually not paranoid. I'm just reflecting what's real.
Yeah. It's literally an ongoing Halloween haunted house for everyone under 35. Yeah. I like that this is the exact opposite. They're doing exactly what they want and said they were going to do. We're going to turn this around.
What else?
We're going to bet on black diners. I like that.
What else you got?
The other story I have is Blue Sky now platform of choice for science community.
You know, I know this to be true because, well, I don't use Twitter, but I do use Blue Sky. Although I will say this, Blue Sky is still super depressing. Like, I everything I read just makes me feel really sad. It's
Well, you're not in the science community channels,
no, I am.
don't think.
But I'm in a lot of the communities. But it's just that everyone has very sad things to report. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, 'cause everyone's being fought from every different angle. So,
but what I like about this is they ditched all major social media companies. I love that somebody basically said, you know what, if we're not welcome, we're going to go to a place where we are. At Blue Sky we are, and it makes me want to go on Blue Sky, and I've never been on Blue Sky. So now I'm excited to sign up just because that's where the smart people have gone. We can hide together.
I will add that, not that this is the reason why you pick these stories, but the Red Lobster, the CEO is a black man, Nigerian American, and Chinese American woman runs Blue Sky.
Yeah, love it. Those are my options.
Let's bring us back down again.
No, what do you choose? What's the winner for?
The winner. I got to go with the nerdy one. Korea.
It's Korea, right?
Yeah, because I mean that's important.
Yeah,
and we're going to get into more.
Big deal.
The first time we do Proxy Countdown again, we're going to go really into detail about all that, because there's actually a lot of reform going on here.
You're supposed to get people to listen to the show. You're not supposed to drive them away.
Okay.
All right, let's do Assholiest.
Because honestly, I don't even care if Red Lobster survives or not.
Well, yeah, that's your main centric attitude. I have three options. I'm actually going to go in reverse order because we've already covered two of them. The options are shareholder democracy, meritocracy, and surrendering boards. I'm going to start with surrendering boards because we have Cracker Barrel. The headline that I saw was Cracker Barrel CEO under pressure to resign after logo U-turn. I just want to highlight the Illuminati on the board of Cracker Barrel, because no one anywhere has really discussed the board of Cracker Barrel except for one guy whose name is Gilbert Davila.
Yeah, I saw him in the news.
He's the CEO of a diversity marketing company.
And I've already seen headlines of people are mad at him.
People are mad at just that guy because they think it had to be
him.
It had to be the guy who's a person of color who does diversity marketing, who's the one who got rid of the white guy in the logo, right?
Despite the fact that he's been there for 5 years and clearly loves the company, it's paying him a big paycheck. He's the one who's trying to get rid of the barrel.
Well, the Illuminati running the board includes Carl Berquist, who was ex-Arthur Anderson.
Oh.
Do we remember Arthur Anderson?
I do. Yeah, tell us.
It's the accounting firm that failed miserably during Enron because it basically helped fraud.
America's most infamous accounting firm, yes.
Yeah, a total disaster. It has John Garrett, who worked at Dollar General. When we think of winning companies, don't we all think of Dollar General? That's like the saddest place you can go.
No one abuses its workforce or its customer base really more than Dollar General, so congratulations.
Or how about Giselle Ruiz, who is ex-Sam's Club, which is Costco's crappier brother, right?
Owned by the Walton family, right?
Yes, correct. It's the Costco no one goes to, really.
Speaking of the oligarchy, do you know how many stories I tag? I tag insider stock trading whenever a director cashes out more than $1 million, a director or executive. The Walton family routinely, it's like every week they're taking another $80 million home. What the hell? How do we live in a country where we have Walmart, where everything is like cheap and gross and breaks in a week, and just they just people keep going in, yet the family is just cashing out $80 million at a time every 2 weeks. What is this? It's crazy to me.
Well, I mean,
weird
also
tangent.
on this,
keep going.
Just for point of reference, Cracker Barrel expanded the board about 3 months ago to add Steve Bramlage. This is in an 8K. Who is at Casey's General.
Oh, we just talked about Casey's General.
One of the things we said about Casey's General is they suck.
Oh, yeah. That's another store I've never seen. I've actually never...
I mean, Casey's General is a store that's also losing to the S&P over the last 5 years. Is down in just the last month. It's down almost 6%. These are the winners on the board. So when you're picking boards... you're an investor, you're picking a board, maybe pick someone that will say to Julie Massino, hey, stand your ground here.
Look,
like,
I would
we
love to
can
know-
turn this company around. You want to know why? Because we're good at our jobs and you could be good at yours.
This is one of the most upsetting things about corporate America and our jobs here is that I would actually love to know, like after a Celtics game when they grill all the players, or like why did you throw the ball out of bounds, you jerk? I wish reporters could actually ask the board, like, how were you involved with this decision? Tell me about your week. Like, how many times did you talk to the CEO? Did you vote on anything? Like, how did this go down? Like,
I'm deep in. I want that.
I would love to
Netflix.
know how the board was involved with this.
Netflix, where the fuck are you? You managed to pull out like the
Film that live. I'd watch
GameStop
that.
movie 7 months after the GameStop meme thing. Like you cast it and you paid for it. Where's this one? The second board I have here is obviously Intel's board.
And anyone on the Intel board from Dollar General or Casey's General?
Turns out no, but they do have Greg Smith from Boeing, from
Oh.
ex-Boeing. So, look, when you look at the boards of these companies, like they have a guy from Sequoia, their chair, their quote-unquote independent chair, has been there since 2009, a guy named Frank Geary. He's a private equity VC tech guy. Dion Weisler, he was added to the board in 2020. He's ex-HP because everybody talks about HP as being relevant in 2025, like printers. When you look at these companies, you realize they are not, the boards of a lot of these companies are not stocked with the top minds of America necessarily. These are not top performers, is all I'm saying. And we should know who they are, because if you want to get pissed at Intel for actually what is, I've convinced myself is now a brilliant trade. You know, they got 10% of the vote and $9 billion for that. That's a brilliant trade for them.
And the CEO keeps his job, and I guess Trump will shut up now.
And Trump is shut up. What a trade. It's really the worst thing possible for America and the best thing possible for Intel.
Every vote now at their company is now rigged because they get a free 10% yes for every vote.
It's great. And guess what? Barbara Novick's on the board. Barbara Novick is one of the founders of BlackRock. BlackRock owns, I think, 9% of Intel, which means it's a guarantee that BlackRock's not going to vote against their ex-founder. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine that vote?
I wish that we could do this in sports, too. I wish Trump could give the Red Sox some money. They could buy some new players, and then every game starts off, they have a lead 1-0 for every game. That'd be cool.
That's basically what it is. I mean, it's like they bought 20% of the vote just by having a BlackRock founder on the board and getting Trump to agree to give up all his voting rights. It's really fabulous. But know your board. That's my first.
Wait, so who's the asshole here?
boards.
People who don't know their boards?
Yeah, it's surrendering boards. I don't like boards that surrender to anybody. I don't like these
what else
surrendering
you
boards.
got?
Number 2 is the meritocracy.
The so-called meritocracy. There should be a way of saying that with air quotes, because, again, I've still never seen any quantifiable measuring data to support what
Free Flow
the meritocracy
Analytics
is.
has one.
What?
Free Flow Analytics has one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
They actually the only ones that have one. I've only one that's actually quantifiable that I've ever seen. But I just, you already covered the DEI purge. Muriel Bowser, Karen Bass. These are cities led by black women, or they're targets of Trump.
Right.
Letitia Jones, she's a attorney general in New York.
Yeah.
She's
Black
under
woman.
a campaign, a pressure campaign from the Trump administration to get removed. Lisa Cook, you talked about. Robert Primus, you talked about. I just want to focus in on what might be the most asshole statement I've ever read, ever.
Go ahead.
About the meritocracy. It came in response to Robert Primus's termination. Black man. Here's the quote from the Trump administration. Quote, Robert Primus did not align with the president's America First agenda.
That sounds gross.
Which is just Nazi now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like the sound of that, yeah.
And was terminated from his position by the White House. The administration intends to nominate new, more qualified members to the Surface Transportation Board in short order. So, using the dog whistle of merit right? Like,
Well, it's all bullshit anyway because the first thing I think of is when I think of the surface transportation boards, that if you're going to make a statement that you're going to hire more qualified members of the board, I need a long list of criteria that establishes what it means to be qualified for the surface transportation board. I need to see that because that way I can actually do my checks and my data and look to say who's qualified. You can't just say a thing.
well,
I mean, you can.
You can. That's
This
the
is
problem.
America, yeah.
And right now, the two people that are left on this board, or three people left on this board, are Patrick Fuchs, Michelle Schultz, and Karen Hedlund. One is a Democrat, Karen Hedlund, and the other two are Trump appointees. Guess which one of them actually worked at the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Railroad Administration, was a deputy administrator. She's been on this board since 2021. Guess which one of them has experience dealing with something like transportation?
Who's that?
The Democrat.
Right.
It's the fucking Democrat who's definitely next because the guy leading the Surface Transportation Board, the chairman, got a master's degree in public policy. He was part of an international economic program in the National University of Singapore, even though he's a white American. Don't worry, he's a white American. He basically has no prior background in transportation over the surface, right? But we're firing the guy who did not. We're looking for more qualified members to align with the president's America First agenda. So America First is white.
I mean, they should be forced.
That's it, right?
They should be forced.
White conservative.
Anytime you make a statement like that, anytime you reference a meritocracy or qualifications, you should be forced to give that list of criteria. I want to see that list.
Unbelievable to me. It's the most asinine
Right?
statement
Like-
I've ever heard in my life. Just
like-
say what you mean, asshole.
Bring it back to the sports analogy. If the Red Sox are going to hire a new cleanup hitter, you're going to want to see that cleanup hitter has actually played baseball before and hit a home run. You know,
That would be ideal.
That would be on the qualification list.
I love that Moneyball is basically woke. Like, it's unbelievable.
All right, what else you got?
And then my other one. It is the shareholder democracy.
Okay.
So I got 4 examples in the shareholder democracy.
Sounds like it's going to take 3 hours.
First of all, Mike Levin of the Shareholder Primacy podcast. He's also the writer of the Activist Investor newsletter. He put out a newsletter this week. He's part of a lawsuit, Detroit versus Tesla. They basically were sort of, it's a similar lawsuit about Elon Musk's pay package. It was a clawback for directors' pay.
Right.
A Detroit pension fund sued Tesla about clawing back director pay. They won the lawsuit effectively. Here's what Mike writes. I'm just going to read what he wrote. Followers here should recall 10 current and former Tesla directors agreed to repay $735 million in comp they received between 2017 and 2020 as part of the settlement of the derivative lawsuit Detroit v. Tesla. On February 25th of this year, Tesla got $735 million in cash and returned options from the defendants, from the directors. Okay? Tesla got the money back. That's what the lawsuit said.
Right.
They swore it in an affidavit that they had the money from the directors. They did not specify how much each defendant paid, but they said they had the money.
Okay.
In March of this year, March 31st, they filed a brief acknowledging the receipt of the damages and noting that 5 director defendants currently on the Tesla board had not filed Form 4s showing their change in options that they held. Meaning, if they paid the money, you need to file with the SEC to show where the money came from for active directors.
Sure.
On April 29th, the full month later, Tesla authorizes the cancellation of the options to reflect the settlement. So now they file a Form 4s and they cancel the options. On May 1st, the defendants filed the actual Form 4s, but it is impossible for Tesla to have gotten the money from the directors on February 25th without having canceled the options that didn't happen until April 29th. So Tesla files a brief.
Yeah, summarize this for dummies.
Tesla files a brief, a sworn affidavit to a judge saying, we took the money from our directors as part of the settlement. And then they don't actually do that until 3 months later.
Sounds very Tesla.
So they're just fucking lying.
Okay.
There's just lying. Now we're just making it up because we don't care.
I think all this is really,
stop us.
You're trying to plug another show in our network called Shareholder Primacy with Mike Levin.
Oh, because I got an email from Kevin Barnes of K-Bar Holdings, who filed a shareholder proposal at Eagle Materials also this year, asking for shareholder right to file for special meetings. He won 92% in favor.
Wow.
A massive win.
Good for Kevin.
For investors. It was a non-binding vote. Obviously, advisory vote, but 92% of investors, this isn't Jay Hogue with like 53% voted him out. This is 92% of investors want this right. 92%. Okay?
Which I will say, which we now know is an impossibility at Intel. There will never be a 92% vote in favor of a shareholder proposal.
The math won't work.
Can't happen.
But in order for this to work, Fidelity, Vanguard, BlackRock, and JP Morgan, not communists, these are massive institutional asset managers, had to vote in favor of this.
Right.
Kevin emailed me Tuesday and said, Eagle Materials has yet to notice a special meeting to formalize the amendments. They have not actually sent out anything to investors saying they are going to change the bylaws to allow for investors to do this. They're just ignoring him. Investors want 92%. They're just ignoring investors. They literally have not done anything in a month.
Reach out to us if any of your listeners know what is the expected time period for situations like this. I mean, you said the vote was August 4th. Is 3 weeks enough? I mean, does it take longer? If anyone knows, reach out to us.
To file a notice to change the bylaws, all they have to do is tell investors we're going to change the bylaws.
I agree, but I don't know.
And this should be an
summer.
8K.
They're probably all at their third homes on Cape Cod or Lake Michigan or something.
Well, they did have time. This is the stupid part. They did have time to file like all sorts of other filings. Like,
true.
You'd think you could have slipped this one in.
Yeah. What else you got?
Meanwhile, at Samsara, where Mark Andreessen and Sue Wagner, who's ex BlackRock, also spend their time on the board. They held their AGM on August 16th, and 19 days after the AGM, they added Gary Steele to the board.
Wait, 19 days after August 16th hasn't happened yet. I think you're now hallucinating.
Oh, sorry. August 16th was when they added the person to the board, and 19 days prior, they held their AGM.
Yes. And
Corvo, John Chevedden, filed a shareholder proposal asking for right for investors to call a special meeting also. It got 44% in favor. And investors only approved pay with 59% in favor.
Investors are mad at Corvo, yeah.
They're mad at Corvo. One day after the annual meeting, the board approved a giant golden parachute for the executives. One day.
That's not too brazen. You know why they do that? Because they've done the math.
To do it.
They've looked at the data and they know that investors are not going to vote against them next year.
So those are your three options: the shareholder democracy, the meritocracy, and surrendering boards.
I feel exhausted. Not going to be the meritocracy because that's pretty evergreen. We talk about that one a lot. The shareholder.
Now, they're all evergreen. I mean, what are we talking about? They're all evergreen.
I'm going to go with just a classic. It's probably the boring winner here, but I'm going to go with know your surrendering boards. You got to know who are on your boards.
I know you're selling our but
the Cracker Barrel story is a little bit bigger than just kind of a barrel and some stupid talking points. There are people behind these decisions, so I'm going to vote for that.
That's correct. There are people behind. All right, let's move on. Let's do headlines, winners, predictions. We got to get out of this show. Okay.
I got a good headline this week. I think I'm only going to pick one in lieu of brevity, and I don't want to get more depressed. I'm going to eliminate my second one. But my first one is a classic that only I would probably like. Pork industry leader David Newman selected as National Pork Board's next CEO.
Oh, I love that.
Right? I mean, it's great. Pork industry leader.
Pork,
I don't know.
A pork leader selected
I
to
don't
lead
even know
pork.
why that makes me laugh.
It's-
I just think there's just something funny to me that we still eat pork anyway. Like, what are we doing? Stop killing
I
pigs.
love pork. Oh, get out.
Pork
with that.
industry leader. Imagine that's your
That's your
thing.
moniker. The pork industry leader selected to lead pork.
It's
is
one
really
thing
what
to
it
like
says.
pork and eat it. Like, I guess I won't super judge you, but pork industry leader. I don't know.
I have two. The first is this headline: Jeff Bezos said he would have felt icky
Ugh.
had he taken any more shares of Amazon. I just didn't feel good.
What the hell is that about? Where did this stupid quote come from?
Didn't he have 16% of the shares?
What is he talking about?
He's like $100 billionaire.
Is he not the top 3 most wealthiest people in the world? I shouldn't say people.
Yeah, but
I
he
should
would
say
have
men.
felt icky if he took another billion worth. He would have felt icky.
What a dope. What else you got?
I love that. And then Sam Altman says colleagues are glad he's a dad now because they think raising a child will help make him help him make better decisions for humanity.
Well, you know, it's weird that you say that because the one I erased, which I just didn't want to get into because it's just too depressing, is OpenAI says it will make ChatGPT safer after parents sue over teen suicide.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't the dad part that made him worry about humanity. It might be the lawsuit part.
By the way, if you make changes directly after you being sued for someone's kid killing themselves, doesn't that mean you're complicit?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you
admitting-
just admitted.
I mean,
yeah, you just admitted.
can't we shut down OpenAI for that alone? Come on, what are we doing?
All right, who won the week?
Mine's very easy, and probably because I'm a Mainer and I'm a local, and I have a company that
Oh, this
talks
is a
against
homer?
the, talks
This is a
against
homer.
the oligarchy
Homer
all
pick.
the time. But my winner of the week is hopeful Susan Collins Slayer. She's our senator here in Maine, who has been senator since I think 1912. And oyster farmer Graham Plattner. He had this to say, quote, I did 4 infantry tours in the Marine Corps and the Army. I'm not afraid to name an enemy, and the enemy is the oligarchy. It's the billionaires who pay for it, the politicians who sell us out. I mean, he really is
That's
just
succinct.
he's summarizing everything that we're talking about today, at least. That's my winner of the week. Hopefully
I just like how succinct he is.
Hopefully the guy who beat Susan Collins to be the next U.S. senator from Maine. Yeah, go ahead. What is your winner?
My winner is journalists
Journalists.
who listen to Business Pants.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like them actually the most. Yeah.
I like them a lot, but
Why?
this story, Cracker Barrel's inconvenient fact, all the customers who loved its old logo had stopped going to the restaurant. Deanne Urban of the Associated Press
Deanne
literally
Durbin.
took our rant about foot traffic and stock movements almost part for part in the story. It's like
As
they
she
must
should.
be listening, which good, you're winning
I
because you're
welcome all
getting free
journalists to
content
listen to
from
us.
Feel free to attribute. I'd
I
be cool
welcome
if you
all
attributed.
analysts, all journalists to listen to us because we'll make you sound smarter at your next meeting. At least we'll give you some ideas. Let's.
You got a
predictions.
prediction?
I'll try to do this briefly because I know we don't want to talk about Cracker Barrel again. But I just had some
God,
things that
more?
I know that will be deleted from Cracker Barrel's next proxy statement. As an example, the fact that the Public Responsibility Committee reviews the company's progress in its diversity and inclusion initiatives.
Oh,
right?
you just delete that.
They're definitely
diversity
gonna
inclusion part.
They're definitely going to delete that. They're also going to delete the fact that they said that their board nominees are racially or ethnically diverse, and they embody the diversity that we believe is critical to the effective functioning of any public company board today.
Oh, that's gone.
Particularly in a consumer-facing industry such as ours.
Oh, definitely
You see, they're
gone.
not just talking about
Get
white
rid
people
of
from the
that.
South there. And finally, they're definitely going to delete the term non-binary from their board diversity matrix.
Yeah,
They might get
out.
rid of the whole board diversity matrix, but they're definitely getting rid of non-binary. That's my prediction. What do you got?
That's a pretty good one. All right, my prediction is shorter.
Thank God.
I'm predicting that Ramon Laguerta,
Yes.
the CEO of Pepsi, he quietly scraps a plan they had for their brand Quaker Oats.
Uh-huh.
To remove the picture of the old white Quaker at the
yeah.
top of Quaker Oats. They had a plan to get rid of him, and instead he says scrap the plan. He goes to the marketing team and he says, can we make the Quaker guy even older and whiter than he is, and possibly give him a shotgun to hold that says boobs rule on the side of it.
Yeah, because
That's
aren't
where I think
Quakers
we're going.
pacifists? That's not good.
Well,
thought
we got to
Quakers are
lean in. We almost got rid
I
of
like
the
that.
white Quaker guy. We got to. How dare us? That's all we got. That's a horrifying show. That's
That's
Hazelnut
too
Rawless.
much. We gotta stop.
I'm
this.
your analyst, Matt Biscardi. We are Free Float. Come back next week. Next week, we're relaunching Proxy Countdown. We've got a ton of shows next week, so keep checking. Until then, good